All right. And we've got Baron hopping in early. Good morning. Great. Scott, how many do you have registered?
12.
Okay, cool. Good morning, Sin. Sin, I didn't realize you were Alex's wife until like, I don't know, a few days ago. So I know I like met you on screen and then the name just like never connected with me. So I apologize. It's like I've known you but haven't known you. But it's nice to have you here. All right, we'll give everybody a few minutes to pop on. And do we have YouTube going as well?
Yep.
Anybody in there? Cool. Oh, there's the chat. Love the Mindful Monday. Yeah, me too. It's a little early on the West Coast, but you know, got to get the day started, I guess. Got to get it started early. Okay, let me know where you guys are joining and what do you have in your hand? Just water, coffee? Who's on the matcha train? I do all the things. So I'm currently drinking a decaf, but very soon I'll probably switch over to matcha. Warm water with lemon and ginger. You might be the wellest person on this webinar this morning. Very good. Do you make your own ginger, like peel it and put it right in the cup? Yes. So good. I feel like I cheat with ginger. I put it in those things that like whip it around and cut it for me. It's too hard to cut and peel and all that. Ooh, yeah, I'll show you. I don't know what it is. It's like the little Cuisinart. Here, hold on a second. While we're waiting for everybody to get on, we'll do a appliance. This is my favorite kitchen appliance. I think last time we were on this call, I got out my ice cream for bears, so it only makes sense if I like get something out of the pantry. Yeah, they're like 15 bucks maybe, and they come in a lot of different fun colors. So, all right, everybody hopping in. Tell me what you're drinking at 8, 9, 10, or 11 this morning. What's in your cup? Coffee, tea, matcha, warm water with lemon and ginger. Throw that down in the chat. All right, we'll give everyone iced coffee today. All right, Stephanie, where are you? Are you in a warm climate? Maybe. I'm in Palm Desert today. No, Madison, Wisconsin. That's a warm climate. It should be really hot and humid in August. I love Wisconsin. By the way, I'm from Iowa. Fun little fact. And oh, the rain. Well, okay, so I'm from Iowa. Lived in Chicago for 18 years, own a business in the desert, and live in San Diego. But I'm in the desert right now, and it is so dry. I put the one, those masks on. So I had it in the fridge last night and I put it on, all the hyaluronic acid. And this morning I took it off and I'm like, oh my gosh, I think you could see my reflection in my face. But for the first time, I'm like, I think I'm hydrated, at least from a skincare perspective. Yes, we got an ice cream for Bears purchase. I love it. Very good. All right. Well, we'll jump in to some content and maybe some more friends will join us here. But good morning. Welcome to Mindful Monday. I'm Alex. I'm one of your 3 hosts of this recurring segment. And we are in a season of talking about chaos. So maybe you're actually in a season of chaos. Maybe you're not. And either way, you're not absolved from it. It's going to come for you at some point. And from where I sit, chaos is not a bad thing. It's a bad reputation. And I think when we've experienced bouts of chaos, it's because it's kind of descended in on our life and wreaked havoc on our peace. And we don't quite know how to get our footing back underneath it when the time when it hits us. But we're going to talk about a few tools, a few tactics that can move you through seasons of chaos. But first and foremost, reframing it to be more positive so that you can see the good even in something that feels like total, utter falling apart, which is often what chaos is doing. It's coming into your life, it's shifting things around like you stuck it all in a blender, and not everything is going to go forward with you after that moment hits. So I have 2 courses on fuel, both of which we're going to reference today. So shameless plugs for Rooted in Resilience and Give Up on Giving Up. But the difference between them, Rooted in Resilience, is connected to my personal story. And so as some of you may know, I became a caregiver on my 33rd birthday when my fiance was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. And this was one of the most chaotic seasons of my life because, as you know, with a diagnosis like that or any type of medical situation, so much is out of your control. And as humans, we really like to double down on what we can control, which is why I've become so passionate about food, because I think we can really take this real ownership over what we consume. Case in point, I've switched to decaf. I'm a much more balanced human without the caffeine. Now I am leaving for France and Italy for about 5 weeks, and they don't really do decaf over there. So we'll see how my levels stay managed. I might have a coffee in one hand and a glass of wine in another, but that's for another day. The season of my life that brought the most chaos also brought the most transformation. And nothing about, going through my season as a caregiver or watching the person I love the most, be totally debilitated by this, this illness, this diagnosis. But what was falling apart wasn't only the fact that our relationship wasn't going to be what it was going to be. It was basically every other facet of my life started to slip through my fingers. My career massively changed. I ended up leaving Chicago. The people I called my friends had just kind of dramatically shifted. And this was all over the matter of a few years. But I think I bring this up as an example because it doesn't have to take so long, even in the most dramatic bouts of chaos. You can actually take yourself through these seasons with a little bit more equanimity and bring a little bit more peace and ease to the table, even though there's just this massive upheaval of your life. Things like divorce, things like losing a job, losing a parent. I mean, these are all major, major life, things that are going to happen to you, to me, to everybody on this call. So we share that. And if you were sitting next to me in the room, if we were all around the table, I would have you look to the person next to you and say, "You're not immune." And then they would look to you and say, "You're not immune either." And that is the cold, hard truth when it comes to these seasons of life. And chaos is no exception. I call the moment the 2x4 moment. It's the first chapter of my book. It's also the first lesson in Rooted in Resilience. And before we can even talk about what to do, we have to be honest about what's going on. And the thing about the 2x4 moment is you have to own it, and you have to be really, really honest about what it is. We can half truth ourselves, oh, my relationship isn't really working, to no, my relationship is over. This is not a relationship I'm in anymore. The more we half truth ourselves, the longer it is going to take to move on. The more we can look in the mirror and say, this is the truth. I am no longer in this relationship. I am moving on, whether that's a romantic relationship, a friendship, a business partnership, whatever it is, and say, I'm now solo in this endeavor. That is the truth. And the 2x4 moment presents the opportunity to get brutally honest with yourself. So before we go any further, I want to open it up if you want to share about any chaos that's going on in your life. This is kind of a nice space where you can do that. And B, I want you to grab your journal or the notes app on your iPhone or anything where you can write. And we're going to do a little talking, and we're going to do a little journaling, and we're just going to kind of bounce over, some of the tools as we go. So the first journaling exercise I have for you is, I want you to get very clear on either reflecting back to a season in your life that was full of chaos, or the current season of your life that's full of chaos. And I just want you to get really honest about what was happening or what is happening, and just take a few minutes to write those reflections down. No one needs to see them. This is not going in the part of the app that your coworkers or your boss or whoever has access to your fuel is going to see. This is a private dialogue between you and you. So just take a couple minutes here. This is a form of meditation. Journaling is absolutely a form of meditation. It's one of my favorite forms of meditation, and we're gonna talk about meditation next. But use this sort of free flow to pour it on the pages. What was the historical season of chaos? What's the current? And just define it, list it. Look at the words on the page. And if you feel like you want to share in the chat, I know there's only 3 of you here on Zoom, but go ahead and drop something in the chat if you'd like. And those of you on YouTube, I know you're streamers and you don't have access to the chat, but I've always opened up. You can DM me on Instagram if you do want to participate in the conversation. I'll drop my Instagram is at Alex Sabbag. I was going to put it in the chat, but I realized you can't see it. So yeah, just take one more minute and just kind of answer that question. What was the season of chaos for you, or what is the current season of chaos? And as you feel this exercise is complete, I can't see you, so I don't know. If you want to come back to this, you certainly can. But go ahead and just put your book, your journal, your notes up, put it down so that you're not looking at it. You can keep the page marked if you want, but just close it up so that the words aren't staring at you for the rest of our time. And one of the big things that I teach often, I'm a yoga teacher, I own a studio in Palm Desert, so there's no secret that I am a fan of movement. One of the things I like and I recommend the most is some kind of movement. And so your task at the end of this, we're not going to do it right now, is thinking about having you all roll out a yoga mat, but without any warning, that would be a little challenging. We will end early, and my task for you, even in the rain, is to go for a walk. You're going to have 10 minutes at the end. So from 8:50 to 9 o'clock, your assignment is to go for a walk outside. No one is in, the tundra. You won't melt in the rain, I don't think. Bring an umbrella, but that's going to be your assignment. So we're not going to do it right now, but imagine finishing that honest journal reflection, closing up shop, and then going for a walk. And what that movement is going to do is allow whatever it is you put onto the pages to move through your body. That's it. You don't have to do anything but move your feet, maybe shake out your hands a little bit, and go on a walk. Okay, you had a large family vacation of 12 in one small house. Wow. Was that good? I would never attend that event if my parents were like, we are going to put all of us in one house and the house is small. I would be like, I'm busy forever. That's not something I would say yes to. Okay, say more about that. I'm curious. Did you have a reality show taping? Could we watch the footage? Were you at least somewhere where you could go outside? I hope. Okay. Okay, so let's move on a little bit. Once we kind of identify what it is that's happening, right away, it's not like you're going to write down like, oh, I'm getting a divorce. Woohoo! Let's turn this into, some good news. That I totally understand and respect. These things take time to work through. But one thing I want to point out, and the reason why the title of this segment is Chaos Follows Creation, is that in my experience, chaos does always follow the creation of something new. Sometimes you don't know what the new is as the chaos starts to brewing. In fact, it starts brewing in you, and oftentimes that is the case. When I start to feel chaos, I start to feel very unrest. I'm not at peace. I'm very irritable. I'm agitated. I'm annoyed. Like the status quo, whatever I'm doing to spend my time isn't working. It's just not the thing. The biggest season, that sort of spurred a large period of growth for me, which I shared on Leadership Live last week, was around writing my book. And the time leading up to this, actually putting pen to paper and focusing on becoming an author was very difficult. I just opened a business. I was very consumed with my day to day. And I also wasn't happy. I didn't love the day to day that I had fallen into. I liked the business. I wasn't in love with it. I just things weren't right. I was very unsettled. And it was, kind of brought to my attention through a business coach that, first of all, I had to drop my attitude, which, sometimes we need those people in our life to lift up the mirror and set us straight. But number two, I wasn't living in my purpose. And my purpose at that time was to write the book. And so dropping into the space of dedicating the time, saying yes to the book, which means saying no to a whole bunch of other things, created a lot of internal peace and a lot of massive chaos too. It's like I didn't have the time and the flexibility necessary to dedicate to my other obligations and the other things I signed up for. I was solely focused on the book. But what happened on the flip side, a year after the book published, and I'll put the link to the book in the chat, I looked back and I didn't even recognize the woman that wrote it. And there was something very cathartic about not only putting my story down on paper, but living through it, talking about it on my book tour, connecting with people through these experiences, and just hearing, from others about, their like-minded or shared experiences in those spaces. So when you do feel, these seasons of like unrest and I'm not where I want to be and everything's annoying and these people are annoying and, it's like, okay, that may be true, but a lot of the time it's sort of this internal trigger to say, you're not doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing. You got to look over here, and you're blind to it because you don't want to take on something new, but it's going to force you to look at something new. And when I say chaos follows creation, any entrepreneur, any mom, any even dad, like there's no way you're going to bring a new business or a new baby into this world and not feel a massive season of chaos. I mean, it's inevitable. It's going to be there. But nothing about that is bad. And you're building something from the scratch. So naturally, you're going to sort of drop into this, kind of season of busyness. And that's not bad when it's got a boundary. So if you want you guys to hop in the chat and share something, let me know if you've experienced this type of season, if you're with me with the chaos follows creation, or if you're like, nope, I'm still a chaos hater. It's going to take more than that to convince me otherwise. Let me know where you're at. Chaos shows up for me when my mom passed away, then 6 months later my grandmother. Oh, that's such a hard season, Sin. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, when people are taken from us, even expectedly, chaos will inevitably ensue. Especially, I've learned more about being an executor of, the person's things, like the bank accounts and the whatever else. I don't know. I've not had to go through this yet with my parents, but it's so difficult on the people who are, left behind to not only go through the grief of losing them, but go through the administration of closing up all of their things, cell phones, accounts. It's wild. So, not to mention losing two in 6 months. That's really tough. I'm sorry. But that's life too, like they're so far, to my knowledge, none of us get out of here alive. And so being comfortable with death in a way is something that we're invited to do. We don't have to like it. In fact, we don't really have to like chaos. We just have to respect the way it shows up in our lives. And going back to this point about, the chaos following creation and creating these like busy seasons, busy can be okay with a boundary. So what does that look like? What that looks like is giving yourself this set amount of time to just fully get immersed in it. Just dive in, live and breathe the thing that you're working on, whether it's the new business, maybe it's a new relationship, maybe it's something else, but go ahead and just jump in. Because, a lot of us that, are highly motivated and very type A, like we're going to do this anyway. But I think being mindful of saying, I'm only going to do this for 30 days. And then you give yourself a hard stop and you take a reset and you evaluate, where you are, is a healthy way to go about it. We face chaos in our family by reminding ourselves it's all part of our human experience. It all happens for us. It makes us stronger and more resilient. That is so true. The things that come in and really shake our trees the hardest are probably the things we were ignoring or just really weren't interested in listening to, that were tapping us gently on the shoulder earlier, and we were like, nope, no, not for me. And it comes in with a little bit more force. That's the 2x4 moment, right? Where it really just kind of slaps you upside the head. Okay. So popping over, give up on giving up. The strategy that I recommend the most for chaos is meditation. And I know this Mindful Monday practice has been largely focused in meditation. Both Danielle and Ali have meditation courses live on Fuel. I don't. I'm not a meditation teacher. I do practice various forms of meditation. So I just want to take a minute and brainstorm what forms of meditation exist so that perhaps everybody here can leave with one that they could apply in the weeks to come. And so if you do have a meditation practice, will you drop it in the chat? Tell me how you meditate. No expectation, no judgment, just tell me how you meditate. Because the ways that I find, meditation and that like erasing my thoughts, I kind of feel like the weirdo. I'm like, so for me, I find a lot of focus when I do my hair. And this sounds totally crazy and, like a Malibu Barbie moment, and so be it. It's obviously not done today, so there was no meditating over the hair this morning. But when I wash it and I dry it and I go through that process of blow drying, which does take forever, I drop into a space of not thinking. And I will tell you, some of my biggest ideas have come from just drying my hair. So ladies, if you feel me, let me know. Or what are they, tell me the ways in which you find a meditative practice. Is it cooking? Because that's my number 2. Cooking is a way for me just to completely zone out. I focus on one thing, the preparation. I do not use a recipe. I'll look at ingredients as a guide, and I just go to work in the kitchen. It's like I have a conversation with the salt. How much do you want to be in there, salt? And then I just sort of intuitively follow my own practice. And I not only have a lot of fun doing it, but it brings me a lot of joy to actually nourish the people that I love. And so again, leaving in just a few days for France and Italy, I'm going to be doing a lot of cooking over there. And this house we rented in France is right by the market that's open every day. And I can't wait just to go and show up and see like what's fresh, what are people buying, like what's everybody that's local doing. And I want to just emulate it. I want to go home to this beautiful home that we've rented and get into the kitchen and let myself go. Anybody? Any chefs? My third is flower arranging. And I always say that I want someone to walk into my house and think somebody died because there's so many fresh flowers everywhere. And I realize that's kind of a morbid example, but I love fresh flowers. I am a horrible gardener. I do not have a green thumb. I hope someday I have a beautiful backyard that, my future husband takes care of. And I just get to like go out and clip the hydrangeas. But yeah, this flower arranging thing, there's really something to it. I did read something that it could lead to enlightenment, which, if you're a big meditator and you're practicing this mindfulness, I guess enlightenment's the goal. So I'm going to get there by flowers. Running, you just ran 5 miles in the middle of the night because I couldn't settle my mind in the middle of the night. Like what time? Like 3 a.m.? You're just out there crushing steps? Let's see. Somebody, 12, midnight. Wow. And did meditation cross this was your meditation, but I'm always curious. There are people who are, adrenaline, where like they got to go, 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 go. And I'm always curious, do you do the other side as well? Like if you were to just wake up and feel restless, could you sit and breathe? Could you try like a restorative yoga or a sound bath? I did 2 sound baths this weekend. Anybody done a sound bath? They don't really translate over the computer, or I would suggest that we bring a sound bath practitioner on here for Monday morning. But there is something incredibly therapeutic about the vibrations going through our bodies. Our bodies are mostly made up of water, as you know, and the way that the sound vibrates through our systems, oh, beautiful, you did a sound bath on Saturday, cool, is so incredibly healing. I will share this. I have a lot of neck problems, like upper cervical stuff, where I get blurry vision and some vertigo, and I find teaching yoga is very hard, like bending down, standing up. You guys, Friday night sound bath, my neck reset. I'm not even kidding you. I had a blanket rolled up under here. I got myself nice and cozy. My intention was just melt. All I wanted was my body to get heavier and heavier and heavier and just sink and sink and sink. And I'll be darned, I couldn't feel it that night. I actually felt really like sideways. My vision was all off, and I was like, but something shifted. And when I woke up the next day on Saturday, it was so good. I actually paid another one of my teachers to do another one yesterday. So really, really amazing. Okay, not to get too tangential, but things in our bodies can fall apart when chaos comes in because we're not ready for it. So when we kind of get knocked off our skis, it makes sense that maybe our head gets flipped off of the axis, or we're just like a little spinning or trying to catch our breath and rebalance it. And so we kind of like, it's literally like, imagine somebody throwing you one of those heavy medicine balls and you kind of like back up and you're like, oh my gosh, if it doesn't totally flatten you out. I think it might totally flatten me out at this point. Chaos just kind of comes in, and that's what it does. But I want to get back to the good. And I want to hear from you guys too on what good came out of the season of chaos. I'll share a business example. My studio in the desert was historically called Soul Dive Yoga. And I've always loved yoga. I've been a yoga teacher for a long time. Opening in the desert it just felt good at the time. And after the first of the year, so the dawn of 2025, it became very clear that this concept wasn't going to work. It was a one-dimensional product. What, you can charge somebody $35 a class. I'm in a great space on a street that's like the Rodeo Drive of Palm Desert. I knew I was missing out on revenue, on opportunity to bring people through the door. And mostly the mission of Soul Dive Yoga wasn't rooted in something that was big enough to really like put the stake in the ground. So my manager and I went through a really long process of rebranding. And now my business, the studio on El Paseo, has this like robust three-pronged mission of movement, art, and experience. We are rooted in providing genuine human connection, of which I think we are all very robbed of, especially as we sit behind these screens on Zoom and YouTube. Like, I would literally do anything for everybody to just be here. Just be right here. You don't have to put your makeup on. You just teleport and we can like not be behind a screen. But this rebranding process, as does any season of chaos, really shook the tree, and there was a lot to let go of. Number one, Soul Dive was, as a business and somebody without children, businesses do become your babies. And I had to let go of the fact that my business didn't work, and the name that I loved so much, of which I even wrote my book titled Soul Dive, needed to go. It was too much about me to be abundant and make the type of revenue and be the tool and the resource for the community I intended it to be as Soul Dive. Okay, I'm now the host. Great, got it. And so the studio on El Paseo came forward and has been beautiful, but not without loss. I've lost teachers, I've lost some students. And through all that, coming back and reminding myself there was a purpose for this business decision. There was a strategic business decision that was made, and there was a really strong purpose behind it. Now, what's the good? The good is the opportunity to work with amazing artists, to fill the walls with incredible, painting, and the floors with some sculpture, and really just expand that, kind of pillar of the business was huge. To bring in dinner parties and fashion designers and have fireside chats and conversations like these in the space, it could have never happened before, because being a yoga studio is too limiting. Being the studio is much more expansive. And so while the last 6 months were brutal and super time consuming and kept me up and knocked my head literally off my axis, being on the other side of it and now just being able to implement this beautiful new business concept does feel like such a gift, we're like giving this gift back to the community. So let me know, is there a time when you've gone through a major shift and there's been a really positive outcome? Maybe there's been some loss, some things you have to let go of along the way. And then outside of the running, coming back to the meditation tactics you guys like. Here, share your meditation tactics, please. We've got running, flower arranging, cooking. What else do you like to do to meditate? If you've never tried meditation before, you could definitely throw that in the chat and let me know. Anybody? Okay. All right, well, we'll move on. Oh, do we have a chat? Peaceful place, gentle music, breath work. Mindful photography, so cool. Okay, Wellman, I want to know what that means to you. Allow to talk. I'm going to allow you guys to talk. I don't know why I didn't do that before.
Yeah, when I go out and take pictures, I'm totally aware of my environment, and try to focus on something that's, uh, to me, beautiful, or I don't know. I'm trying to capture an image. In order to do that, I have to be aware of everything around me, of the light, how it might affect the picture, the exposure of my camera and stuff like that. So you really have to be in the present moment in order to take a good picture. I mean, anyone can take a picture. You just, take your phone out and push click and you have a picture. But to take a good photograph, you really have to look at everything around you and be aware of light and shadow, motion, the background, the foreground. So it brings me into the present.
That's beautiful. And do you mostly photograph nature?
Yes.
Like what kind? Are you in the mountains? Are you in the
No,
prairie?
I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I'm about 2 miles from the shoreline, the bay's edge, and so pretty much 4 or 5 times a week I'm out there walking along the shoreline. So quite often it's in the evening with sunset, and you get the best light then. And because there's a regional shoreline, it's protected, so you've got the uh, animals and birds. And you wouldn't think you're going to see all of this in an urban area like the San Francisco Bay Area, but there's a lot of wildlife out here.
Yeah.
So, I'll catch birds in flight. I'll catch San Francisco silhouette against the setting sun, or silhouette against the fog that always comes in during the summer. So, yeah, I mean, like I says, to me, to go out and take pictures, uh, you have to be mindful.
That's amazing. How long have you been a photographer?
I started as a teenager, so 50 plus years.
Wow. Sorry, not to out you in your age. Oh, that's incredible. Very, well, I think we all love to see some of your work if, email it in.
Yeah.
That'd be very cool. I'll put
I have
my,
some, I mean, I post mainly on Instagram under Tiger Wong. Tiger
oh,
Wong,
cool. Yeah, put
WD.
your IG into the chat.
All right.
There's all my info, link to my book, Instagram. And yeah, so we can go check out your work. That's really cool.
Well, make sure.
Thanks for sharing.
No problem. My
Are
pleasure.
there, yeah, any creators? I am not an artist, but I have heard a lot about painting and drawing as a beautiful expression, very meditative in nature. Anybody else on the creative streak? It's okay if you're not. It's not, we got it. We all got to know our gifts. Um, all right, cool. So we can all hop on Wellman's Instagram and see his mindful creations. So neat. And it's got to be about summer finally up in the Bay.
That's our coldest time.
That's your
Best
what?
weather, best time to visit San Francisco weather-wise is I'm going to say September, October.
That's what I was going to say too. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, just head up to wine country while you're at it. Um, awesome. Well, I love that. Beautiful. Okay. So, oh, I gotta get back to my notes. Here we go. I'm just gonna walk through a few of the the kind of the flow that I find helpful when, and this is going to be a very high level overview and would take, hours of, one-on-one or additional courses to kind of go through the depth. But we started out our call with this like ownership of the 2x4 moment. So what is the thing that came into your life that brought the chaos? And by the way, you all have the ability to talk, so don't wait for me. You can just jump right in. From there, this accepting of the truth and getting really clear and honest on what it is that happened and what is the scenario right now. Like, what is true for me right now? How am I feeling in this moment? Like, what is actually happening? And this is the part where the half truths and the, oh, it's not so bad, like those don't do us any favors. So we kind of have to double down on the grit on that one. And the third part here isn't much easier. Just this act of surrender. So you really can't bounce back until you fully let go. And these tips are explored in far more detail in my course, Rooted in Resilience. So if you're curious, the course I think is a total of maybe a half hour, 40 minutes. But surrender comes in very directly with chaos, because as chaos comes in and puts you in this blender or this shaker or whatever it is, the snow globe, and things start to fall away, do you have the discipline to let go, to let them? Can you put the let them theory into your chaos model and really let them go? No matter how painful, no matter how much you really think you're supposed to have it, the relationship, the job, the friend, whatever, can you just let it go? And I think that's very hard for us when we get used to living in a certain way. We get used to our routines, our habits. Things become, they feel a little easy, right? And we're like, oh, I don't want it to change, because change is really hard. The sooner we let go, the sooner we can get to the part where chaos does breed abundance. And the next topic of this Mindful Monday panel is all about abundance. But the surrender is hard. And so as much as I'm kind of glossing over this as one of the practice points of going through this chaos model, it's not easy, and it takes a heck of a lot to really let go. Once you've done it, the feeling of isolation and, oh my gosh, what did I just do? I just let my job go. I broke up with my boyfriend, whatever it is. We all of a sudden feel like we're the only one in the room. And I'm getting a lot better at letting go. Oh, beautiful. Meditation and mindfulness has been my key in learning how to do that. Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, when we let go, it's when we're newer to it and we do start to feel the isolation and the, oh my gosh, I'm alone, nobody gets me. That's fine, and you can sit in that space for a minute, but I would encourage you out of it on the sooner side, and let the people who are still at the table, who are still showing up for you, show up for you in this season of your life. Like, who do you call on? Who do you rely on? I attend a church in Palm Desert called Southwest, and I love it. And the pastor's been on a sabbatical, so I've really had to get myself, really had to get myself online for these other teachers, because I get a little attached to who shares the message. But yesterday was a different pastor on the teaching team, and he was talking about suffering. And I think suffering is such an interesting topic because, well, number one, we don't like it, and we're all very just uncomfortable with it and want to just go like this. like no thank you to the suffering. There are some practices that say, well, suffering's a choice. That's a very, like, I think Buddhist mindset about suffering. I don't necessarily think it's a choice. I think you can make it harder and you can try to make it easier. But one of the biggest points of his message was, when you do and you're not immune, and so just like chaos and just like loss and just like these other things that are so heavily part of the human experience, you're not immune to suffering. Chaos is going to bring about some or a lot of suffering. Grief is a form of suffering. Letting go and being void of this thing that kind of was always with us is certainly a form of suffering. But when you look around and you realize you're not suffering alone, that's when you really become supported and can feel empowered and reduce the isolation. You have to be willing to receive. And you've got to be aware that if it's people that happen to be falling away from you in the season of chaos, then, people are there. Oops. Tech issues, man. Okay. The people are there for a reason in a season. So I bring up, I just felt like that suffering tangent was really relevant here. Especially as we talk about receiving and isolation reduction. Next is the practice. I talk about the practice in, oh my gosh, every opportunity I can. And practice meaning, mind, body, soul. What are you doing to get out of bed in the morning? What are you doing to keep going? What did you do this morning just to prepare for Monday? What's in your cup? That's where the practice comes in, is how are you starting your day? How are you nourishing your day? How do you move your body? How do you steady your mind? How do you, the practice is taking these tactics that we know work. I mean, nothing that Ali, Danielle, or myself is going to tell you is like some new magic, like the GLP-1 of mindfulness. Like, that doesn't exist. Everything that we're going to share with you is like tried and true over like centuries, okay? Movement and meditation and food being like the top three for me, at least. And so when we brainstorm these meditation tactics, and we started with the journaling exercise, and I'm going to end in 7 minutes and send you out on a 10-minute walk, do not skip it. This is all part of the practice. I talked about food in our last Leadership Live. I am a control freak. I'm always going to be wired that way, but I can discipline those impulses, and I can choose which areas of my life it's actually healthy to be a little bit of a control freak about. I pour all of that into food, all of it. I care what I consume. I want to know where it comes from. I want to know how it was prepared. I rarely eat out at a restaurant right now because I'm so hyper focused on what I eat. Give Up on Giving Up actually has a 7-day eating guide by me with some really simple recipes. I'm going to create a second one here pretty soon, because if you are using that one, you might be a little bored. But I will wait until after my France and Italy experience, or maybe I'll create it there to get some good info. But food is where I pour a lot of self-care into my day-to-day. So just keep that in mind, as much as the meditation and the moving, all these mindfulness practices, journaling, etc. Eating is a really, really solid way to stay in the practice. And once you put the practice is there as like your safety net. So you can either be the tightrope walker with nothing, or you're the tightrope walker with the net below you. And the net below you being the practice is that thing. There's those grounding movements, those grounding choices, or habit stacking, if you will, that keep you going forward, that keep you out of the stuck energy, that keep you out of this like complacent mindset, getting up and doing the work, whether you do it in the beginning of the day or the end of the day. I don't really care which part of the day you do it. As long as you're doing something, picking something from your practice wheel to do every day, I'm happy. From there, I know you'll rise. I know that no matter how strong this like season of chaos is that's come to descend over you, no matter how much upheaval, how much loss, how much total disarray, where you think your entire life is now like in total shambles, guess what? Then it doesn't get any worse. If every single thing has fallen apart, that's the good news. There's nothing else left to go. So when we say, Todd likes to ask the question, what's good about it? Well, there you go. Seems like a pretty dire situation, but not when you look at it the other way. Well, it's all gone, so what do I do now? I put it back together. I slowly pick up the pieces that are supposed to be at the table. I let the ones that aren't supposed to be here go. I stay in the practice to keep moving forward. I just get up. I care about what I eat. I walk a few thousand steps a day. Maybe I do some yoga. Maybe I do kickboxing, whatever it is. Staying in that practice is literally your lifeline to moving through the entire chaos season. So the last 4 minutes, I'm going to answer some questions, and then I'm going to turn you loose on your walk. And I need everybody to promise they're going to actually go on their walk. Wellman, I know it's not golden hour, but maybe you can snap a nice picture at the 8:52 a.m. hour.
Yeah, light's not as good at this time.
So where are we, friends? Any final reflections? If not, I'll give you the next 15 minutes to go take your walk. Okay, put on those walking shoes. Let the sun get into your eyes, set that circadian rhythm, and just enjoy the last 15 minutes. All of my contact info is in the chat. I look forward to keeping in touch, and I think somebody will see you next week. Okay, thank you all. Have a beautiful day. Happy Monday. Take care.